much for coming today. It's so lovely to see everybody and some very familiar faces. I'm joined here by the wonderful Rankin and globally renowned photographer, just all-round incredible legend.
Oh,
Woo!
thank you.
Lovely. And then the amazing director, Jamie Lloyd, who is absolutely incredible, has the Jamie Lloyd season and company, and has really, I think, done so much for making theatre more accessible. And you're just generally fabulous, aren't you, really?
Oh, thank you.
Jamie. And then Nica Burns, who basically throughout the pandemic has saved me on so many occasions, really. She has been incredible. And some of you might have known that Sonia Friedman was supposed to be doing this, but sadly is delayed in New York. And so Nica, the guardian angel that she is, has come in and saved the day.
We're not saying she's better, but...
No, we're not. I am a very mother of all of these people. I treat everybody fairly, I'm just saying. But very, very grateful to have Nica. So thank you so much. This has been the most amazing project. I've gone through such a tough time as a theatre industry, and to come out with something as wonderful as this is truly incredible. And the idea behind this, when Hector Proud, who I could see in the audience, first said, Rankin would like to do something with West End theatres, and I was just like, and it was in the middle of pandemic, and I was trying to get my head quite round what we would do, because even at that point, nothing was open. And for me then it was like, actually this is about capturing the moment of us returning, because hopefully we will never go into such a long period. I mean, I can't, anyway, let's keep everything crossed. I can't even say the word. But to actually have something that celebrates those people who couldn't go off and have a lucrative Netflix career or doing something. These are the people who, this is a bread and butter of what they do. And what was amazing, this project so exceeded my expectations about actually capturing the real sense of community that theatre, do you know what I mean, is. And we so wanted it not to be just about the people on stage, who are hugely important, but also the backstage heroes. And we did a test shoot, the very first time we did this test shoot at Rankin Studio. I was quite in awe and quite faced by dealing with somebody as wonderful as Rankin. And it was so super cool. I thought, I'm so not cool enough for this at all. It was like, well, yeah. And we had the amazing Alice Affleck-Mensah, who was the deputy head of sound. And she came in, and Rankin, as he has done with every single person that's been photographed, made them feel so special. And she just, this photo came, and she just looked absolutely stunning. And she turned around to me and said, I feel seen. And I think for people who have just, you know, it was so tough for so many of us not being able to do what we've been trained to do, and to have this moment where you have this photograph that makes you just feel that you're here and you are valid. And so it's been wonderful. But we could not have done this project without some key people. So I have to say, the wonderful team at Fujifilm, House of Photography. I'm looking at Gordon, woo, and his wonderful everybody here. They have been amazing. They gave us their incredible studio downstairs. They've given this incredible space to do the exhibition and have printed the most incredible book, which you can all get signed and come here to. And then we also had to find some money, because I'm not known for being flash with cash. And so we were incredibly lucky that the Mayor of London came on board and was able to support this project and get it off the ground, because we really wouldn't have been able to do it without them. And then we have literally, it's been amazing collaboration. I've never worked on something where people have all gone, yeah, I get this, I'm going to come and be together. So we've had Addison Lee doing cars, we've had just all the rail companies now coming on board, all the bids want to do it. And so this project has really been elevated. So I'm just hugely grateful, and it has been it's been an absolute privilege working with Rankin and his amazing team to turn this around as quickly as they have. Has been amazing. But you don't want to hear me. Let's talk to Rankin about how was it for you?
Oh, wow. Well, I want to thank Emma before I talk about it, because Emma will never blow her own trumpet, and I think everybody that's ever dealt with Emma in her entire life will tell you she's one of the most incredible people that I've never seen anyone with so much energy and so much positivity, and yes, it has been fantastically positive, but it started with her, and Hector went to Emma, and the two of them really have driven it. So I want to give her a round of applause. And that's a genuine, you know, if she was shit, I would probably not be saying it. She's really the opposite. Like, everybody in my office is like, can we get Emma to come and work with us every day? Because she is so positive. But how was it for me? It was when Hector approached me, Hector's just over there, it was pre-pandemic, and he said, I've got this idea to do a portrait of the West End, and apart from it being like a ridiculous idea, I was like, it's just going to be too complicated because there's going to be so many egos, there's going to be lots and lots of conflict, and I just was like, I'd love to do it, but it will be a little bit aggy. And what's been incredible, and then the pandemic hit, and he came back to me and went, you know that idea, actually it would be really an important moment. And when someone says important moment, I'm like, yeah, I can be part of an important moment. I like that idea. So we were like, yeah, no, actually, this is a good idea. This is one of those ideas that, as Emma said, it will just kind of gather momentum. But the momentum it gathered was like nuts. I've never been part of anything that not only everybody wanted to be part of, I think without question, I don't think anyone said no, but also when we started to shoot, it was like there was tears and laughter, and it was not just being seen, it was being in real life, having an interaction that was just like nothing I've ever really felt or done before. And then the pictures, the people that I met, and the pictures was like bottling this kind of spirit of what theatre and live performance, and that's why I called it performance, is. And that is something that we don't just like, we need it. We need it in our lives. We need that physical, in reality interaction with someone performing for us, or us watching someone perform, or being on the stage performing, or producing it, or directing it. And it's actually part of it's in our kind of human spirits. It's in our humanity that we need that. We love storytelling. We need storytelling. And after a year and a half of Netflix and online stuff, I think it's more important than ever. And that's why I wanted to do it, really. That was the essence of why I wanted to do it, because I could see that that's what it was going to be, and it has been that.
Brilliant, thank you. And Jamie, I mean, you have been photographing. It was brilliant because we had to try and make sure we had to pick a moment in time, and that we picked all the shows that were in that moment. And Jamie, luckily, announced his season just in time to get in, which was
just
fantastic.
To be a part of the exhibition.
Yeah, just to be. I want to be in that. I'm doing that. So how was it for you being photographed?
Being photographed, I mean, look, it's like the reason why everyone was so keen to be, to take part is because of Rankin. I mean, he's a legend. Look at, the whole West End was like buzzing about it. Everyone's excited, so excited about it. I'm just so grateful that you were up for it. It's such a major thing. I really can't thank you enough for, putting it all together and agreeing to do it. It's really awesome.
Did you feel it when you were in the room, though? Could you?
Yes.
Not just me.
No.
The whole. Because there's a lot of overlap, which is always a bit dangerous with actors and producers. It is.
I don't know where this is coming from.
It is. Well, maybe I'm too used to dealing with publicists.
Maybe
they're.
What we do is about collaboration above all. So whatever arguments can stay outside, but when you're in the room,
there's a lot of support and a lot of.
What I'm saying
saying
is when it came to the shoots,
Yeah.
the atmosphere was like ridiculous.
It was
like
it was theatre. That's the point.
There we go.
I
was on theatre.
You were the theatre, and we were the performers.
So Jamie, because you came in, what was it?
I mean, it was amazing. The thing that struck me was it is so collaborative. I don't know if people realise this, but I'm sure you did. Did you do this with everybody? But you empowered everybody to choose the shot that they felt comfortable with, which is such an unusual thing. When you get, you do a photo shoot normally, you have no control over what shot is used.
And I almost came out like as doing it on this because I've done it for years. But with this project, I've done it I've done it since the 90s.
Wow.
I used to send contact sheets to people and say, choose your pictures.
Amazing.
But with this, I thought, why don't we make it the thing that we're doing? Because it's obviously what we all do. And it's what we all missed as well. Like when I was in lockdown, the thing I really missed was that being in a room with someone, but also making something together and like making that and kind of celebrating that.
Yeah, well, that's the sign of a true, like, you know, artist, true master, isn't it? In terms of having the confidence, the courage to be able to say, you know, like, it is a collaboration. This is about us together. This is about empowering the people, as you say, like being seen, making that decision. It was incredibly inspiring, honestly, and it meant that everyone was really happy about it, rather than coming, oh my God, what do I look like?
What did I do?
Like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it was fun. It was fun, and it was quick. You know, again, you know
so
what you want,
3D.
and you make everyone comfortable. And the idea of like performing was genius. You know, I didn't realize it was that. You know, sometimes we can all take ourselves a bit too seriously and worry about what we look like and what other people think of us. Whereas you just encourage everyone just to kind of play and have, celebrate the moment. It was brilliant. It's really thrilling.
I have to say, Nica, your photo, though I cannot have favourites, I love everyone individually, was...
She actually really does love your photo.
I do love your photo.
She does go on about it.
Because your photo to me, because you have been so positive and upbeat and really the cheerleader for getting us through this, and I felt your photo captured just how hard it has been, and it was, but also the resilience that was there. So I don't know how it was for you, because it made me cry, your photo.
Well, my photo, for me, I find it very hard to look at it because that isn't how I usually am. And what happened, because I'm a bouncy, upbeat, smiley person, but as I went to meet Rankin and we were all standing there, just before I went to be photographed, someone said to me, how did you feel like when lockdown happened? And I had this absolutely deep, visceral response. And actually, I cried. And this big tear came from nowhere, and I couldn't blink it back, and it just made its way down my cheek. And at that moment, I just thought how tragic the whole thing had been, and how hard it had been for everybody in the theatre, how hard it had been for me trying to keep a fabulous staff team together, all the people in the theatres, the technicians and theatre managers who are highly, we need them, and they're really part of the team for everybody. And I just felt my heart just burst, really, and that was a totally naked expression of what the real toughness was for all of us going through that pandemic. And that was real inner thoughts. And I look at it and I feel really naked. And afterwards, after that photograph had been taken, Rankin said, well, what would you like to do? And then I did something that was appropriate for me, which is, I want to punch it away. And he did a punch. That was the shot that I liked. But you're right, that particular photograph of myself was a genuine, total expression of the tragedy of our 18 months of closure, which started off believing that we'd be back quickly, and we just had the heartbreak. I had to close one of the best shows I've had the privilege of producing in preview, City of Angels, with a cast and director. It had taken 5 years to get that cast together. And it was so good in preview. The actors asked if we could bring the press night forward because they were ready. And we were all setting it up. And then suddenly closure came. And it was on that Monday when we'd all turned up to perform, and Boris had just said, don't go into enclosed spaces. And we didn't know what that meant. We had to ring up SOT saying, well, what does that mean? Does that mean we can't let people in? And then we got the announcement at nearly 6 o'clock saying we couldn't play. We had the actors were in their dress rooms, they were doing their work, they were doing their warm-up, all their stuff was laid out, the audience was arriving, and we felt absolutely bereft, but we had no idea how long it was going to be. And Josie said, well, you can at least open the bar. I thought, that's a really good idea. Because the great thing about being the theatre owner is my bar. It's brilliant. And we rang up I had another company at the Apollo, everybody's talking about Jamie company, and we said, come down to the Garrick. And no rules at that time, right? No staying away, no masks. And by the time we'd been there an hour, we were on the phone to Domino's ordering. We cleaned out Domino's for pizza because people had to start eating or it wasn't going to end well. And we literally had, it was like, I imagine, just before the war or before the Great Depression, before the stock market crashed and no one knew, or the day after. We had this sort of impromptu party, and as we left, we were saying, see you in 3 weeks.
Wow.
See you in 3 weeks. And the time passed, and we were all desperate, and everyone was ringing for information, and the actors were saying, can we get the show back up? We're going, yes, we'll get the show back up. And we couldn't. We couldn't get the show back up, and September came, and it was the end of the run. It was a limited season. And everyone says, when's it coming back? And all I can say is, it took a long time to get that cast together before. I'm going to have another mountain to climb to make it happen.
Yeah.
But it was really special, and that was one of the biggest personal heartbreaks for me, was losing that show, as it was for all the actors. And Josie.
Yeah.
Because we did good.
You did good. It's hard. I mean, just in terms of that, because I think, you know, we're all getting where we are, but from your point of view, you know, how with the pandemic, you did some amazing projects during that time, but it was difficult.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons that I wanted to do this is because some of my friends are in live performance, and I was, you know, I'm a photographer. Like, I can take a camera and photograph anything on my own, and that's essentially what I did. And of course, I didn't have that in real life experience, but I did turn flowers into kind of characters and start talking to them, and I would blow up dandelions, and you know, I was trying to express myself through. It was weird actually how I expressed myself through photography that I was just doing for myself, and it was probably the first time I'd taken anything for myself apart from pictures of my dog or my family for 25 years. That was just for me to stay sane and start talking to the flowers. So, but we came back. The thing is that like photography was really allowed to come back in advertising in July, and we were shooting by the end of July. So, you know, we were doing commercials. I think we did 140 shoots during that 12-month period. So, so I just felt like I owed, you know, creatively to balance the books, to do something that was not just, you know, not just because it's a great thing to do, but because actually to celebrate those people that I know, like my friend he's a manager of bands, and he takes them on tour as a tour manager sometimes. He was done. I mean, he's only just started working 2 months ago, and it was, and I'd be talking to him, and he was so depressed, and he was, you know, putting a smiley face on it, but actually I could see that he was almost deteriorating because he was losing everything about him, his confidence, his you know, his mojo, and I could, you know, and a few other friends, I could just see that it was being really lost.
Yeah.
And I really believe in live. I believe in live everything. I believe, you know, like you're right. Like I've realised that I'm a performer as much as, you know, and being in front of a group of people and performing is such an exciting thing to do. But it also makes the work fast. That's why I do it fast, because it makes it good. You know, like when you do it slow, I think you can get sort of over.
You can think about it too much.
You can overthink it. Whereas if you do it fast and really go with your gut, it becomes really a performance and really exciting. So that's why I did it, because I wanted to kind of take a picture of all the people that I knew hadn't. And it was, you know, I could have done bands, but actually I think theatres, there's something special about the West End as well that I think that people don't realise until it's gone. Yeah. And then you're literally walking around the West End, even when the country was coming back to life, and London, like if you're in Hampstead, it was super busy. You come into the West End, it was dead, and you're like, the theatre is what people are, it's like the honey to the bees or whatever, or the flowers to the bees. So that's why I wanted to do it. And my wife also wanted all the free tickets.
I have got so many tickets for Rankin and his wife.
She got excited about that, so we've got to start going to see things.
I've got them all lined up.
But I'm just joking. But no, that's the thing for me. I did stuff, and it was it was actually kind of good for me in a way to do that. But
And I think, I mean, Jamie, from your point of view, I mean, you were about to open with Seagull and Amelia Clark. It was all ready, and that must have been quite a difficult, do you know what I mean, process. I mean, how
we've done the whole rehearsal process, you know, and tech and dress rehearsals, and we were about to do our fifth preview on the shutdown. So we've never opened, and it was very odd because it was like this kind of like dark cloud hanging over the theatre. You know, people were already starting to wear masks. Broadway had shut down.
Yeah.
We were going, you know, didn't know what was going on.
I'm so jealous though,
like,
because you got your show up. I haven't got
right,
mine up
you
yet.
got it up yet? Oh, Nica. All right,
And the frustration of it for everyone must have been so like difficult to deal with.
I mean, it's just so peculiar, isn't it? We all remember. I mean, it's not just this industry. Is it? Every industry is this kind of dystopian feeling of like, you know, like, and the fear of it and the trauma of it, as you're describing. But one of the amazing things that obviously we have to acknowledge many positives as well. But like, what was amazing was this real sense of this kind of interconnected web of a community, you know, this, you know, partly represents, you know, where people were looking out for each other. You know, it was WhatsApp groups and, you know, messaging on Instagram, or, you know, like just, you know, picking up the phone, calling each other. There was something kind of amazing about that, you know, this kind of support network of people, and not, you know, not in a public way, not on Twitter, not in, you know, like just like quietly kind of like, you know, just checking in on each other, which I thought was very, very really amazing, actually, kind of, and a real sign of the industry that we belong in.
And I think that was it, about trying to just keep one of the things we just did was try and just keep everybody informed. We just let anybody take our newsletters because we just wanted people to know what was going on. And I think I spent so much of my time having meetings where they just listened to my voice, but I just felt we just need to have the meetings to have this sense of purpose, that actually, you know, there was still a validation to what we were doing, and it was, I sort of feel like I've worked the hardest but achieved the least. So what's been so amazing with this project is actually being able to see all that hard work actually result in something so, you know, incredible. And I think one of the things that I think, Rankin, you were talking about you performing, I think one of the brilliant things for me was watching people who were not used to being in front of the cameras, like the people who were on stage, you know, found it very easy to perform, but it was getting from people who were, you know, not used to being actually photographed and getting the most out of that. And I thought you were so good at putting people, you know, people come in and go, I hate having my photo taken, and you were brilliant at doing
I love them the most. Do you like your photo though?
I do like my photo, but I hate having my photograph taken. I get really embarrassed, and you had to really persuade me. I was just like...
What I love about this book and all these photographs is that if you came from somewhere where you didn't go to the theatre and you didn't actually know our world, when you look at all these shots, what is it that you see? And what I see, trying to stand on the outside, is character, personality, and amazing differences. And we bring all this character and personality to each play, or each actor performance, and the director molds it together into a whole, but actually all these characters are what makes us. And that's what I think has been portrayed. If you don't know anyone, if you're not in the crowd, but you love theatre, and you actually go through the whole book quickly, you go, that's the whole world conjured up in a book at a moment in time for what was on stage at that point. And I think that's lovely. And I love the way you've mixed colour and black and white. I don't know how you chose that, because I was instructed to wear black, which is quite easy during these times anyway. And I noticed that there's an awful lot of black masks in here, but hopefully soon we'll be able to fling those off when we're all totally clear out of it in some blue skies world. Let's believe it's going to be there. But that's what I think is fantastic. It's just these range of faces and what their eyes and their expressions are saying. And it's actually put together, it's also quite poetic.
I know.
Oh, thank you.
It's good.
And amazing that it is, as you say, it's not just performers.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing. I think, you know, like it's such an interdependent industry culture. Like literally everybody plays a part as a part of that collaboration. It's so vital, so necessary. Yeah. You know, there's no hierarchy. That's theatre at its best is when it is, as we keep saying, this collaboration. Yeah. It's actually a force for good. You know, in that way. You know, I think in a way, you know, like we're even before the pandemic, it sort of felt like human beings, you know, increasingly self-centered, you know, self-involved, isolated, you know, a kind of increasing kind of emphasis on them and us.
Yeah.
Whereas like theatre at its very best is where a community of people of, you know, generational muddle from all walks of life, all lived experiences can come together, form a new community, make something and experience something truly unique.
Yeah.
I think that's, you know, in a way, like, I think probably like the sort of sense of our very survival as human beings relies on collaboration and community and compassion for each other, right? I think we've learned this during the pandemic, to listen to each other, to hear voices, to be compassionate. And I think, you know, that for that very reason, theatre is a force for good. And this is celebrated here, and it's really exciting for the future.
I agree, and I think that thing is that actually it was never about an individual, it was about the collective, and I think, and everybody is part of that. And I think theatre as well, what makes London theatre so unique is it's not just one theatre, it's so many different theatres, and it's all that interconnection between the producer, the theatre owner, the director, everybody. And I think that's what is so important to celebrate that. And then I think with the book, I'm going to give a little bit of a plug for the book, because the book is amazing, and Rankin's team are incredible because they turned it round in 2 days. I mean, it was nuts. We literally did the final 2 shoots. They were putting up the pictures around us and also signing off the book, which was just incredible. But the thought, and you have just this amazing ability to work out what works well, but also what's wonderful in the book is we interviewed everybody. And so we've actually got some of the interviews when you go round, you can talk about sharing people's experience, but people have got quotes in the book which I think really are sort of symbolise what their journeys have been, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's so poignant, like so much of what people are saying, and I mean, I've got to give props to my team because it wasn't me that did the book; it was them. They put it together, and but what I really loved about that was it was performance as well, and it was those people that I missed the most when I was in lockdown. So I can really understand the parallels because we are a team. Like we can't, you know, the left hand and the right hand have to be in synchronicity or it doesn't work. And even to the way that I shoot, it's all about almost a kind of exoskeleton of myself like working. So that was what I really saw in terms of parallel. But yeah, for me it was. For me, it's human, and that's the bit that I think you need it. And I didn't really realise that until we went into lockdown. I was like, I need that human interaction. I'm a big critic of social media anyway, but I couldn't deal with it. That was the bit where I was going, like after about, I don't know about everybody else, but after 2 months, I was like, no more Zoom parties. They're terrible. They're awful. I'm sorry. They're not, they're just this fabrication and there isn't really any interaction. And I kept wanting to phone people. I was like, can we just do a phone call? Because at least you connect on a phone and it's an individual experience. But that was the thing that I was really keen, and that's why I was super, I made a big point of it not just being people at performance. Because also the other thing is we've waited to that for so long. And one of the good things that's come out of the pandemic is the celebrity culture has shifted a bit and it's not quite as crazy as it was. People are a little bit more cynical about it maybe, which I think is important. I think it's important to be real.
Yeah.
But looking forward, because this has been a reflection back, but also...
we'll just end up talking about the pandemic.
No, we won't. But
it's so boring.
But I think what also comes across to me is just the hope and excitement and the resilience of these photos. And I think what would be brilliant is sort of looking at, you have just announced your new season, so what are you looking forward to?
Well, I think, the truth is that I think the single most important conversation that has been had in this pandemic is about social and racial equity. And therefore, I think that it's really, really important that conversation continues and in a very meaningful and long-lasting way. And I think there's huge possibilities for that in terms of going deeper, in terms of, I keep, wanting to talk to other, arts, white arts leaders in terms of this is not a box-ticking exercise. This is actually really, truly exciting. And like, you know, I'm thrilled that Cyrano is coming back and Seagull's coming back. Cyrano is an example of when you have a group of people from literally all lived experiences in that room, you know, seeing the world in different ways, experiencing the world in different ways, you know, bring so much of themselves, their entire selves into the room.
And it makes it better,
It
right?
can only make the work better, more exciting, and more dynamic.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's and everybody benefits. And it's not just about casting, it's about who the storytellers are, what the stories are, how they're told. I mean, this is like really big, deep, significant work that needs to continue. But ultimately, I do think that's incredibly positive. This, as I say, this kind of like this blank space for new possibilities, and you know, I think can only be exciting. And also playing with form, how we make theatre, what theatre looks like and feels like, and draws from, you know, even from photography, from you know, the digital world, from technology, you know, from fine arts, from video games, rock and roll, hip hop, spoken word. I mean, you know, we're moving on into something completely new, and a lot of the thinking that from the space and time of the pandemic will, I think, influence theatre to come. You know, lots of really interesting, like kind of off-kilter, you know, interesting ideas, which may not, you know, we may not see right now, but I think we will in the future. You know, just like different ways of, you know, thinking about things. I think that's
it's a weird reset,
cool.
isn't it?
I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
If we do it, if we do the work and we keep going with positivity and we make it happen, I think
the future is bright.
I think it could be. You know, we've got to be determined to keep going and have those conversations for sure.
And so, Nica, from your point of view, we're going to be very good on timing, I tell you, because we've got to go to the Drifters tonight, which is opening.
Well, I think the good thing is well, I'm coming from a different perspective because I get to see lots of audiences coming in. And I can say that my 6 theatres are absolutely joyfully packed. And it is like they're coming back in and they're going, it's live, we missed it, we're going to have a great time. As a collective, they are so up for it.
Amazing.
Often, you know, before, when we were in our usual lives in 2020, people would come to the theatre and they bring their bad day with them, or the row they'd had, or the fact they were tired, or all of those things. Right now, really thinking about cabaret, they are leaving their troubles outside and they're coming inside for us to give them a great night and for them to enjoy it together and enjoy having these other people collectively. They bring all this energy into the room. And guess what? The actors are lapping that up. And together, the collaboration right now between audiences and performers is absolutely sky high. And the energy is just rippling through that theatre. So the audiences are giving the actors not just hope, but appreciation, because the atmosphere is so fantastically alive. And they're ready to come back. And I'd say anyone who feels nervous, don't come back yet, wait till you are. But there are enough people who really want to come back, really are coming back, and they're leaving, and I literally watch them skipping down the road happily. And with your shows, they'll be going around, because you're doing something that is visceral and all of it. So the
I
audience
don't mind
reaction.
skipping as well. They can skip as well.
Well, let's skip together.
I'm skipping everybody, I'm just saying.
So I do think the future looks great, because it's like all things in life. When something is taken away, and I feel that the country, and certainly nearly everyone in the theatre, was lost. Because what we do can't be replicated at home, because we need the collaboration and we need the audiences too. And we filled the space with lots of other things, but it's a vocation, right? It's not just a way to earn a living. It's something that comes deep down here and comes out to the audience and to each other. So I think that we're going to have this period where the appreciation of live theatre, and the one really good thing for me that came out was the day when we were talking about reopening the theatres again, was hearing Boris Johnson say, theatre is really important to the economy. And it was really important, and yes, we do pay our way. And I hadn't heard that from a Prime Minister forever, I think. So just for once, thank you. I felt that we were appreciated as an industry, and all I can say is, about time too.
The first honest thing he said for a long time.
So I'm going to start. Before we get really political, brilliant. I'm going to wind it up because but I would really encourage people to buy the book. Rankin is going to be signing them, and all proceeds from the book are going to basically the Theatre Artists Fund. So during the pandemic, Sam Mendes, with our support, set up a emergency fund for theatre workers, and many of the people here actually benefited from that fund, because there were people like, the wonderful Hannah, I can't see her now, but from Pride and Prejudice, who literally was working in a greengrocer's because she just couldn't, and so to go from that to the West End stage is just, she still can't get her head around it. But it was just so many people, like Bradley. There's lovely Bradley, who was, he was working in construction, from Leeds at Les Mis, so it's been such a journey for everybody, but it's so lovely to have them back. So this book, proceeds go to Theatre Artists Fund and then also the Mayor's Youth Homeless Charity. So please do buy it because it's wonderful. It takes this exhibition to another level, but we also really hope that this whole experience inspires you to come and see theatre, come and see a show, because there's so many wonderful, wonderful plays on, and it's just wonderful to be back on stage. But thank you so much for your time. Is there anything else that my wonderful panel want to say? But thank you, amazing panel, and thank you to all the shows, all the producers, all the theatre owners, all the makeup artists who came, the company managers.
Yeah, they were
unsung
amazing.
heroes, but company managers and makeup artists were just brilliant. And the wardrobe people, I never really had a proper thing for them to hang stuff on. We got there in the end, even if I was holding it myself. But thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate it. We've got to go to the theatre now because we're practicing what we preach. But thank you very much. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Thank you.